Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. We're going to do something different today. We're going to interview a longtime Calgarian who is a very successful business owner of many, many years, and a very longtime friend of mine of 35 years. In fact, he was my first love many years ago. Since then, I've watched his and his amazing wife, Helena's successes through all the different businesses that they've owned. Now they're owner and founder of Common Bond at 630 8th Avenue Southwest. They have gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan options. It is the very best food I've ever had in Calgary, and the service and positive energy that you receive as soon as you walk in the door, it feels like you're going home. In fact, it is my second home. I love it. I love everybody there, and I'm delighted to have Omar on our episode today. Omar, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Catherine.
Oh, I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
So I want to chat a little bit about your experiences over the last year. And I know prior to setting the recording, we talked about the decisions made back in March with the lockdown, well, around the globe, but certainly how it affected us specifically here in Alberta and Calgary. And love to get I'd love the landscape of what was happening for you at the beginning of this year, and how Common Bond was doing. And then, of course, with the decisions of the lockdown, some of those phases and things that happened to you and your team throughout those times. Do you mind sharing a little bit about where we were? What does it look like back then at the beginning of 2020, or when?
Certainly. Everything as Calgarians know, things got tough when oil prices started going down. And in October, when Trudeau won, coincidentally, Husky laid off 600 people, and then other people laid off. And with minimum wage, everything got tough at the end of 2019. COVID certainly took that to an all new level. I don't think anybody in downtown Calgary could have thought it could have got worse, and it certainly did. The two combined just took it over the top and put us in a position where, when they finally locked down, without any guidance, any consideration to what all the small business people were going to go through, we get locked down, and then we have no idea of a timeline, what we have to do. And it made it very difficult for a lot of the small business owners downtown.
What was that time frame? And do you remember the date? It was March. What was it when they?
Right around St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. You're looking forward to things maybe taking a little pop up, despite everything that was going on. And then panic from around the world and what we were seeing in Italy, and people started to stop coming, and then finally the lockdown came.
Mm-hmm. And during that week, so now St. Patty's, I think we were already locked down by then, right?
Yeah.
And did you have much notice did you have food already purchased? What were some of the considerations that you had to deal with at that time?
We were being careful, as were a lot of places. St. Patrick's Day was really the last day. I know a lot of restaurants and bars around town got fined for opening on St. Patrick's Day. We got everything out to the food bank. I know the chain stores did that as well. It was expensive, but I guess necessary in everybody's mind at the time. We didn't know really how bad this was going to be, or not, is the case may be.
And what would the expense have been, including food and those considerations, but also the team that you had, that you were obviously leading? What were some of those considerations that you were dealing with at that time?
Well, we were worried about the staff and where they were going to be. They had rolled out the Alberta one-time payment. I believe it was $1,000 or $1,500. That was difficult to get. Most people couldn't get it. Most of our staff didn't get it. We continued to pay everybody as long as we could, under the impression that there was a wage subsidy coming. And then we had a really terrific manager, Stephanie. She pulled together a one-pager for everybody, and they knew exactly how to get on to CERB, what they had to do, where they had to go, and really made it as easy for the staff as we could, so we could lay them all off and transition them as quickly as possible.
what was that time frame from the time that the lockdown happened to when funds were actually going to be available?
Everybody was a little bit different for the CERB. Some people couldn't get through. They had the 28-hour queue times for some people. Other people just got lucky and they got through immediately. So it was weeks for some staff to figure it all out. We just kept on giving everybody sort of food hampers and letting them know if they needed anything to call, and gave some advances to people and just kept everybody afloat until they could get their money. For us, it felt like it was 90, 100 days before wage subsidy started to come through. And we were lucky with the landlord. They helped us out. They didn't beat us up on the rent. And they just knew that rent subsidy was coming. It was going to be retroactive. So they weren't in a big panic about it. And working together with the landlord, it made everything manageable until we could get the doors reopened.
Very good. Thank goodness for a good landlord. That not everybody had that.
No, we were really, really lucky that way.
That's awesome. Very good. And what about some of the things that happened since then? So the 100 days after, it took a long time. Now the loan, or I guess Pierre's calling it the credit card loan.
Yeah.
Some of those things that took 100 days. And then what were some of the things that happened after that for you?
Well, during that time, we did get the $40,000 loan. 10,000 is forgivable. But to go further into debt, even if it's a interest-free loan, to go further into debt in a time when you're not making money, it really didn't make any sense. The money wasn't used for what it was intended for most people. A lot of business owners I know really used it to mitigate their personal guarantees, and knowing that they were going to go bankrupt at some point, because there was no way to sustain it. There was no way to stay open. 40,000 isn't enough, and it didn't help with everything that was going on. Then you have other rich people that have 7 companies, and they took it in their companies, invested the money, kept the free $10,000, and they're just richer for it.
Yeah, I heard about some of those stories.
Yeah, and it just wasn't structured properly. I don't pretend to have the answers, but there was a lot more thought that needed to go in doling out that money.
Yeah. And what's the landscape now for you, Omar? What's happening now? Obviously, we're in December 2020. What are some of the things that you're considering now at Common Bond with, I guess, we've got a new restrictions with Alberta. Are you able to keep your team? What are some of the other things that are happening right now for you?
We're in a semi-lockdown, which for downtown businesses is really effectively a lockdown. Our sales are less than our labor and food cost. We normally have 35 tables for lunch on a Tuesday. We had 5, and they effectively locked us down without allowing us to access the subsidies we would get if we were locked down. You get 95% rent subsidy if you're locked down. We're at 65. But we have to keep the doors open for optics. If we close the doors, everybody's going to think we're closed forever, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you just run with a skeleton crew so you can effectively and responsibly run your business and keep everybody safe. And you keep the doors open because we're not locked down. We're supposedly open in downtown Calgary, but we're not. They were better off to lock us down and just call it what it is, or open it up and quit trying to scare people.
Yeah.
We needed factual information. We needed AHS and this bylaw enforcement to provide us factual information with real solutions, answers, what the penalties are. We still can't get that information. I know the Restaurant Bar Association is working on getting all of it. There's a ton of information posted, but it's not 100% accurate. It doesn't truly reflect what the guidelines are and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do and what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do.
I also have another question. I've heard just recently with the Alberta announcement, and of course, our city council backing them up and basically doing the same thing that they're suggesting. I'm curious about one thing specifically. My sweetheart and I are under the same roof every day. and we have different addresses on our driver's license. Is it true that we cannot come to your restaurant because we live, supposedly because of our driver's license, in a different place?
No, and this is part of what we're fighting to find out. They've made provisions for a business meeting, 6 people maximum at a table. And if you're having a business meeting or self-help groups, then you're exempt. They're not allowed to ask for ID. I was told very clearly my staff are not allowed to ask for ID. It's against the Privacy Act. We can't
Yeah.
make you prove that you live together. And if you're having a business meeting, enjoy your day. Go out for lunch downtown and enjoy your day.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well,
Nobody's
thanks.
allowed to challenge you for ID.
Thanks
Not
for
even
that
if you-
clarity.
Yeah.
Well, unless maybe I looked like I'm under 18.
Yes, yes. So
No?
that's why I ask you every time you come in. But yeah, that's the only reason they're allowed to ask.
Well, thank you. Excellent. Omar, is Common Bond going to survive this?
We, small business in Alberta and especially downtown Calgary, I don't think can survive this without rent subsidy, wage subsidy, or a proper stimulus package. Landlords need to work with people. Everybody talks about a new normal, a term that I hate, but it is what it is. If the new normal doesn't include modified rent deals, something with minimum wage with regards to service staff, our costs go up. Everything goes up, and I'm still only charging $16 for a burger. 20 years ago, I was charging $14 for a burger, but my costs have tripled. So no, we're not going to make it unless there's some fundamental changes.
Yeah.
And, maybe the stimulus package provides for that, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and then your grandchildren will pay for it.
Yeah, and their children.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
Omar, thank you so much for joining us today, and keep up the great work at Common Bond. You have a great team there. I'm so grateful to you and Helena for keeping the doors open for all of us. Like, really, it's just, I'm grateful. And thanks for being a great Calgarian. You're awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Everyone, Omar Polyniak with Common Bond at 630 8th Avenue Southwest. I've said it already. Amazing food, great service. Go check them out. Let's keep them open. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next time.